One, two, 1, 2, need my attitude. 3, 4, 3, 4, check my latitude. Ooh, I like that. Ooh, I like that.
Good morning. Good morning. It is the day before Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving Eve. I appreciate all of you watching, and look down there. But before we get started on all of this, I do want to say you will notice that there is a logo missing. Yvette is no longer going to be doing this podcast with us. She is changing the focus of her company and doing some wonderful things over on her side. So I want you to go follow her socials and see what she's up there doing. But for now, Brittany and I are back to being live, just like we were many, many times over the last few years. And so, what?
Which means we're missing a logo.
Wait, what do you mean? Oh, dang it, this focused on
just so everybody is fully aware.
Okay.
On the intro, we remember.
On here, we did not.
Here, we were so excited about the turkey. Before we get into our
topic, then, Brittany, talk about why we're missing a logo. Hey, I got things fixed. You fixed the music. We got things fixed this morning. Gosh darn it! And we have Thanksgiving.
All right. We're so enthralled with the shiny. However, I am going to talk about this logo, but the thing is actually the logo ties into the topic.
It does. It does.
So hold on, wait. I have it. Wait, hold on. Ooh, I got it. I got it. Okay. So here's the thing, guys. In your business, you are going to do things that work, do things that don't work, and do things that are at the time probably working, but we're not ready for it. And it's not sussed out fully. Sarah and I know that we want to go live. Sarah and I knew that we were doing things. We were on a Roku TV channel. We were in different communities. And we started to suss out this conversation about what does our community look like? And we came up with the Keystone Network, and we are the key architects of the Keystone Network, which also brings us to the skyscraper. I was showing up a lot with my business for the skyscraper, and not so much with accountability and tech strategy. So when Sarah and I sat down the other night, because we have 2 huge skyscraper events in December, when we sat down, we were like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
How is this going to work, and how are we going to show up? And it turned into, we have this network, we have this community idea that we were building so that we could showcase people, so we could bring awareness, and we could allow people to run lives and podcasts, and we could do all these things. Well, why doesn't that translate into the skyscraper, where everybody has a billboard, everybody has a freebie bag for the expo on the 9th. If you don't have the 9th set for the expo, join us. And everybody has a freebie and a gift. We have a door prize for everybody who's in the room. They've all donated into those events for that night. So here we're building that community, and we didn't even think to go back to the Keystone Network. So I'm super excited that we get to go back to the Keystone Network. And Sarah, yesterday you kind of corrected me, because we're not moving backwards, we're actually moving forwards in the right steps and showing up how we want to present ourselves. And just so you guys know, it was 2 days of me staying up until 2 a.m. to rebrand.
Right. I don't feel bad for her. She was going to stay up till 2 a.m. anyways. She just had a mission. However, she can laugh. She knows. I do want to clarify, like I love all of that. I want to clarify one of the reasons that we wanted to build the Keystone Network when we first did, and this was more than a year ago now, more like a year and a half ago, was to give people those benefits, those opportunities, those things that they may not have had as a single entity entrepreneur, right? When we're all trying to build in a little box on our own, in our own house, by ourselves, it's hard. And we wanted to have those opportunities available to people. So Brittany just listed a few of those benefits to being in the skyscraper, right? We have co-working, we have accountability, we have opportunities for you to advertise your own business at different events that Brittany and I are hosting and are a part of. Those are things that will always be available. Those are things that we want the Keystone Network to be for all of those people within our building. And so, but it also gives Brittany and I that opportunity, especially Brittany, because Brittany was really trying to market this simultaneously under her own BizStorming entity. And it was overshadowing both things. And so now it can be streamlined, marketed, and everybody will know the difference between the two. And I think that will help. I would think that will help all of us. I mean, everyone in the world, because you should all be on the skyscraper, but it should help all of us that are involved.
No, I love that, Sarah. And I think that it really is important to understand that when you show up with all of your layers, it's really important. And this has been a conversation this entire week about your pillars. So really making sure that your pillars are what shines. And so in BizStorming, the skyscraper is not a pillar. Is networking and community? Yes. But is this whole entity of 200 plus rooms and 200 plus people and in my head, just so you're aware, the other day I came up with 6 open lobbies because with 200 plus renters, we need to keep the lobbies at like.
But that will be as we grow. That is as we grow.
But I'm dreaming big, guys.
Oh no, we are dreaming big and we will get there, right? And so like that's the thing. These are the conversations we have. After so many rooms are rented, do we need another lobby, right? To handle like some overflow or for different topics or something like that. And I think that's the way you have to look forward, right? If you're saying, what am I going to do tomorrow? That's great. But you also have to think about what am I doing next month? And what am I doing next year? And how does today manifest into that?
Exactly.
But I also want to get into a little bit of that showing up, because my blog this week is about being thankful for the people that show up, right? And showing up means something different for everybody, but it's about knowing where to be involved, how to be involved, and how involved you want to be. So I think Sophia is watching us here at the moment, right? What I love about Sophia is she will literally go into her skyscraper room and she will work alone, right? And so does Terry. Terry will go into their skyscraper room and work alone because that's how they clock in a sense for the day, right? And then when they can, they pop over and say, hey, how you doing? It may not be every day. It may be every other day. It may be, I think Terry was in with you at midnight last night. You get my point? It depends on how everybody works. And that's how they show up. They're in their room. They're ready for whatever's going to happen. But that doesn't mean that they have to be involved in the day-to-day activities of the skyscraper or of Brittany and I's lives or whatever. But it's putting the time in. And I think that's kind of what I'm getting at. What do you think?
I love it. Terry has said this many times that from the moment she got her office, when she walks into her office, because the great thing about Go Brunch is it is a browser-based server. So it does have an app, which is really great, and you can use the app. But if you just have your tab in your window, you can have your sound on, you can mute the tab, you can do a few different things. But when she walks into her office, she's clocked in. So instead of walking out of her house to go to a co-working space that costs, like $200 to $300 to $400. She literally has a office in her home that was $15 for the month, and it has tech support, it has socialization involved with that. So she gets to clock in, not worry about it. If somebody comes into the meeting and has a problem, she reaches out, we help. Um, and in any case, she's clocked in. So now
Yeah.
she's at her computer working on other tabs, doing what she needs to do. And we message each other because there's a message to message aspect. You don't have to be in the same room. So that's been something that she's really leaned on, is she gets to choose and pick. We have Forrest, who I don't think ever touches his room unless he has a meeting scheduled.
Yeah,
But
he's more of a pop into the co-working area.
Yep, he pops into the co-working area. He hangs out with us. We've had things that happen with elderly parents happen. We've had amazing celebrations with clients. Sarah sold a sold a project for us the other day. She was like, "Oh, you know what? You haven't been in this room in a while. Have you met Forrest? He has a 90-day challenge. Do it." So so all in, whatever amount of time, we get to know each other, work with each other, and we're not alone. And I keep stressing that you shouldn't be in business by yourself, and you shouldn't have to run through those things by yourself. So it's a very great in space. You can show up when you have meetings, and you can show up in the lobby, or you can show up and you can clock in for work.
And I agree with all of that. And we can sit here and talk about the skyscraper, the Keystone Network, all day long, right? And the benefits. But I also want to go to one of the things I'm thankful for are the people that show up for their business and do what it takes. Right. And that's more than networking. I'm saying, like, you do the boring stuff because it needs to be done. Right. You do the phone calls because they need to be done. You do the meetings because they need to be done. Sometimes building a business is hard work and boring, right? And there are so many people I see that are truly just showing up. And I will use Forrest as an example. He creates videos that are amazing content that he puts out on LinkedIn and Facebook. I don't know if he goes anywhere else, but those are the places I find him. And it's amazing content. And he shows up with that content daily, I believe, if not at least 5 days a week. He's got a video going. And he knows that this is what's going to boost his company. It's going to take a while to go viral, right? We're in a world where, unfortunately, normal business tactics don't go viral very easily. But he's building so much content and so much good content that's getting out there. And that's a way to show up for your business, right? Terry is building a networking session for network marketers and MLM companies because a lot of the other networking groups don't look at them as true entrepreneurs, even though they're doing the same things the rest of us are doing.
Times two.
Yeah, times two. And it's such a interesting situation to see all these people showing up. And this is where we want people in the skyscraper that are going to show up. We want you to be there no matter what, but we also want you to be there when you're ready to start that next step of your business. You're actually ready to do the things and show up. What do you think about that?
I think that some of that conversation, right? When you bring in Sophia, who is watching, thank you so much, Sophia, and you bring in Terry, and we've had Donna the astronomer popping in. When you bring in all of those amazing people, what happens is they come in, they have a conversation, and they leave. So you don't know this, Sarah, but yesterday, or no, you do. Yesterday morning, or on Monday, I had a client who had stopped in. We discussed workflows, and Terry was in the room.
Okay.
Well, yesterday, so a day after we had that conversation, and Terry was kind of listening to that conversation, Terry comes in and is like, "Hey, Brittany, can you look at my workflow that I built?"
Oh, that
And
was the spreadsheet. I didn't look at the
right,
spreadsheet. Yeah.
yeah. So she was in the lobby, she was listening to the conversation, and she realized, like, I need that in my business. A
Yep.
business should have a workflow. It should have several workflows, but
But at
it
least
should have that.
a process that you're following to get things done and things like that. Yeah.
And more for you, we're specifically talking about workflows for your client journey.
Oh, got it. I didn't know what we were.
Yeah, so a specific workflow for your client journey.
Sure.
She went away and 24 hours came back with a workflow. And when I say she came back with a workflow, guys, I mean she came back with with a Google sheet where your client moves from sheet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when we talked about it, I was like, hey, here's the one thing that I see that's missing. And I gave her 2 to 3 different alternatives of how she could edit and fix that to make sure that that didn't. And she came back and she was like, "Yeah, I stuck with answer 1 because it was going to be the easiest." But
Sure.
when you show up for your business and when you make those strategic moves, you're now able to be able to not do it. She didn't really think about workflows, but
Right.
because she was in a conversation with other business owners, she realized, oh, that's key.
That's something I should be using.
Right. And sometimes we don't think, Sarah, you and I joke, and there was a post about our joke because Dominic is phenomenal. But the new joke is that Brittany and Sarah will voluntold you how to run your business.
You can say no.
You can always say no, and you can find how does it really align in my space. Because we want you to do it in alignment with you, because
Yes.
that's what's going to work. But when you're in a room and you say something like, oh, this doesn't work, and there's 3 other people who are like, oh, well, here's these different ways. Here's how we can see you really making that work. And what ends up happening when you do that is that very clear cut, hey, this is what those avenues look like. So I really love the fact that it's that idea grab, that go away, come up with how it works inside your business, but also every business needs a client path. Every business needs a workflow that's client walking. And so when we talk about fundamentals in the lobby, we are there to help businesses find that ground.
But I I want to clarify, we're giving examples of somebody that did something in 24 hours, somebody that makes a video every day, right? Showing up for your business does not mean doing something in 24 hours, right? Terry's a little crazy, right? No, and that's a good thing. I'm not saying she's crazy in a bad way. I'm saying, like, when she gets something in her head, she wants to create it, right?
Yep.
And I love that. And that's one type of person in a business. But it's about taking that one step forward every day, right? Even if that means you're going to, we have one person, Ferna, who's in our circle, and she said something the other day that on her task list was to call 3 people a day, right? And then like a week later, by the way, she changed it because she was like, it was stressful to figure out who the 3 people were. So now I make a list. So she goes a couple of days in advance and she makes a list of the 3 people she's going to call, because that makes it more permanent. But calling 3 people is a step forward every day. Does that make sense? It's not a lift, it's a step forward.
I want everybody to know that she had actually ended up reaching out to 23 people in 1 week, with starting with that goal of 3 people. And because she talked to us about it, we gave her very strategic ways that she could use her client list, she could use their shopping list to specifically say, this pertains to you. So that it's not just a grab and go for random things. And she had that idea already. She was kind of, she was working on it, but by talking it through with other people, she got a little bit more closer to that client touch and to that personal touch that she strives for and is phenomenal at.
And the problem is, I'm going to make a joke. I hate that you told me that, because I want an example to tell people that you don't have to go above and beyond your goal to show up for your company. So
My marketing is not done.
Right? All right. So Brittany shows up for her company and still she has more marketing to do. Okay. So we'll use that as an example.
My marketing has been on the checklist for 3 months now, and it's halfway there, but not all the way there.
But let me clarify. She still has social media marketing going almost every day and a few other things happening every single day. And she's working on marketing. It's the marketing she wants it to be is not created yet. But yeah, showing up simply means taking that next step. And it makes me sound like, dude, we need to find some people that are slower at getting things done. I make jokes, but I'm not coming up with good examples, Brittany. That's my point.
Well, here's the problem.
What?
Is it's because they're starting to build that conversation.
Yes, that is true.
It's because they started in a space where I'm iffy, I don't know what I'm doing.
I'm by myself at home in some cases. My, alter ego isn't giving me the best advice.
I used a lot of self-conscious thoughts that was slowing down the process.
That is true. I'll give credit on that. Yeah.
I mean, there's so many times that somebody comes into the co-working space and they've been working on a program or a system or something, and it just doesn't align. But because they don't have an outside reflection to help them, it doesn't happen. And what happens is when you're energized, when you look at your business and you're like, holy cow, I can actually do that. There's a difference between it takes me this much time to it took me no time at all, because now it wasn't a chore.
Right. And I think it helps when, we joke about voluntelling people, but it helps when you have people that ask you a couple days later, oh, hey, you said you were going to do that. I want to look at it. Right. Like just this morning, I'm messing with my Thanksgiving thing here. And Sophia's like, I can't wait. Show me on the screen. Right. Like, so I showed her what I created before we went live. Right. And when you have people that are excited for the things you're creating, even a small thing like our Thanksgiving background, that makes the creation, the building, the everything a little more easy, right? Because you're like, well, I'll get to show people. It's not just me throwing it out there and hoping somebody looks at it. I can actually show people and get feedback, right? I can show people and get that, if they're excited, then I'll post it. If they're like, well, maybe you should spell things correctly, then you make changes, right? And I think that feedback really, really benefits even those small steps.
I love that. And I think it's super important when you're working inside of that space of who can I show, who can I help. We have this conversation all the time of sometimes you should not tell your family what you're doing. And you find your work best friends. You find your people who, Katie Corliss is a LinkedIn unicorn, and she's built 2 programs that are completely different from what she's been doing. She only comes into accountability. Every week she comes into accountability. She has her checklist well done and ahead. She's memorized all my questions, I think. And she is ready. But she, in the other meeting, she was like, yeah, I work with these people who have been with me for 10 years. They're my really good friends. And I've built out and sussed out what this looks like, because she watched them do it. And then she gained the confidence to do it for herself. And now she's building things that are going to be a residual income, an easier source, because she talked to the people she trusted.
Yeah.
And Sarah, the other day, you had asked somebody a question about, hey, is that working for you?
Mm,
How are you getting more than 3 people? Because you're sussing out your strategy table.
right.
And what does that look like? And the answer you got was not the question you had asked, but it
But the
was,
fact that there was an engagement on it was the point.
but also the idea of how do they look at this?
Hmm. Yeah,
We forget that.
we do. We do. And there's a lot of people, like you said, that live at home with family that, their friends and family don't quite understand what they're doing and why they're doing it, right? Why do you have an hour blocked on your calendar to be on LinkedIn? Isn't that just for a job search? And it's like, no, right? Like there's things that people who have a traditional 9 to 5 that are in a traditional type of role don't quite understand what it is to build an entrepreneurial adventure.
Yep.
So
we've talked a lot about the network, the skyscraper. We have 2 new shows coming up on the network, by the way. I'm super excited. One, I'm not going to tell anybody. I mean, I've told people because I hate
we're
secrets,
not
but I'm going to tell you guys. Somebody out there will steal my idea. So one idea, and then 2, we're going to start doing a monthly showcase. But
yeah.
really showing up for other people is really key as well. And I'm going to go back to Forrest in this instance, and I'm going to talk about Terry. And just so you guys know, when other people start to come in, we'll have more stories, but for now, there are rock stars. Forrest has shown up inside of the synergy networking, inside of the co-working room, and he has a 90-day challenge. And when we first really started talking to Forrest, he was like, I've been running this for a month and a half, and he hadn't had any traction on it. Well, then different things that he's been implementing, different stuff, showing up in those areas, people started to see him and hear him because he fundamentally started talking about just the tiny challenge.
Well, and I just
And
wanted to clear that the tiny challenge is a 5-day challenge for $97. The 90-day thing is a different program.
my brain. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, yeah. So he has the 5-day program, tiny challenge, but what ended up happening is he was showing up for all of those people in how can I help you? How can I assist? How can I give
Yeah.
you feedback? And how can I take feedback? Because when you're vulnerable, right? When you're vulnerable and you have those conversations, so showing up for other people then allows them to show up in your space, which is amazing. And same with Terry. Terry had poorly shared that she was with a nonprofit. You had to find it by like being Miss like tech wizard scrolling through nonsense to find that she was a part of a nonprofit, which is not, that's, we need to know if you're a part of a nonprofit. But inside the conversation of her showing up for a meeting and another client who's a nonprofit showing up for a meeting, we now have for our holiday party, we now have 2 all-inclusive getaways that will be raffled out to
Yeah.
to donators to those 2 things. So we have things around it, but
How it's going to happen.
yeah, you have
So
to show up. But with that being said, because both of those women were in the room, they started collaborating to create how does this look and what do we get to do with it. So when you show up, and you show up in business spaces that are intended for your growth, that's when that's going to just shine through.
I agree 100%. And we are coming up on the 30-minute mark. So this year, I am thankful that my partner and I are going away for Thanksgiving. We're doing a getaway, one night thing, but somebody else is cooking us Thanksgiving dinner this year. So I am actually thankful for that. What are you thankful for this year, Brittany?
I think this is the first year that my business has actually taken a forward step. Because even though I won't be with family, even though I moved states away, I have been able to really take the time to heal and build and focus on what is going to push my life forward.
All right. I will do mine and then you can wrap us up. My name is Sarah. I'm with Off the Beaten Path Consulting. We are going to be changing our background to talk about the Keystone Network for the next time, but check out that logo while we're on the outro, the music that we play at the end. I am a leadership and business strategist, so I programs for small and medium-sized companies. And I have a thing every month called the strategy table where you can show up and talk about one strategic problem you have and go away with a solution that you can implement before the end of the call. So that is me in a nutshell. By the way, I have a few coloring books out there. Brittany, what about you?
I was about to say also she's showing up for her strategic table, which she is, sidelined, but now she forgot the coloring books. So luckily she got her coloring books in there. It's holidays, guys. Go get coloring books. There's penguins and dinosaurs. But my name is Brittany. I am an accountability business strategist. So we strategize your accountability, we strategize your tech, and we get you in alignment with where you're going to be in 20 years. We work that foundation today and we have a solid foundation. So that is what I do. My company is BizStorming because I am an 80s hairband junkie and we've got lightning bolts inside of a pile of leaves, guys. How amazing is that? Thank you so much for everything you do for us, Sarah.
And Terry just said that she got her coloring book, which I'm so happy for. And thank you for anyone else who has bought them. The problem with Amazon is it doesn't tell me who buys them. I can't get a list.
The other day we found out that somebody who we talk to very often had it, and I was like, we didn't even know you bought those. I need to figure out how to get an email list attached to Amazon for you.
I wish I could. I need to figure something out. But anyways, wonderful, wonderful. Take us out of here, Brittany. How are we wrapping this up?
Be grateful, guys. Show up for your business and allow other people to show up for your business. Volunteer yourself to get it done and volunteer people to do what they need to do. Don't let it slide. When you want to show up for people, they need to show up for themselves. And when they want to show up for themselves, you need to show up for them.
One, two, need my attitude. 3, 4, 3, 4, check my latitude. I like that.